Yo, back again with another video. Hope everyone's been doing great. Hope everyone's been having really a good summer as a whole because I know school's out, sports is over with unless you're doing summer track or summer football, anything of that sort. So as a whole, like I know everything's been put behind you really, everything's done like really progressed. And you might even be going to high school, you might be going to college, you might even be leaving college. But whatever level you're going to, I just say congratulations on doing what you're doing. If you're going to the next level in that same school, then do better your next year. If you feel like you could have done better in some ways, then jeopardizing those things and really just build upon them. But to start off today with this month, what we're starting off with is that we're going into like really mental health. So this video, similar to what we did last month with the teenage life videos and everything, we're gonna start off with just a really broad range video to give everyone that's watching just a kind of overall view on what we're doing with everything. And then we're gonna get to like the real nitty gritty, the real details of everything. So, but to start off with this month though, we have our first official guest for one of our first summer videos. Sorry, but we have my here close family friend that I grew up that taught me with a good few things in terms of mental health and just overall growth. My old youth pastor, Pastor Dez.
What's going
So
on?
yeah. So as a whole though, as y'all know, we're gonna start off with a nice little question of the day. So let me ask you this, Pastor Dez. Like, what's the craziest experience you've had in terms of like mental health or like in terms of either realizing your own mental health or a moment where you realized just how important it was?
Um, it's a few things. I think as you get older, there are certain experiences that you have. I remember in my younger years, um, thinking that I had seen it all, and what I realized is each year you start to find more and more things you've never seen. Um, but I will say the craziest experiences that I've had is delving into my past, realizing some things that I may have pushed to the side, thought weren't true, weren't real, or even pushed it to the side so that I don't um, feel like I'm mentally hurting myself. And sometimes, in order to really grow, you have to deal with the hurt that comes with the progression. I call it growing pains
Mhm.
mentally. So my craziest experiences with that are those were the personal things of me seeing my own past and realizing from even therapy, because I do have a therapist, that some of the things that I thought were a certain way may not have necessarily been that way, and those that I may have thought were that way, but nobody confirmed it. That therapist was like, no, that actually happened. So that's one of the crazier parts of uh, you know, that for me.
Okay, I see what you're saying, yeah. And I'll definitely say this is definitely like mental health, especially nowadays, is definitely like a really big thing. It's something I've seen as a real big thing.
Mhm.
I know it's even me myself, I play it off as a joke sometimes, we'll joke it off and chalk it off as a whole bunch of different things. But it's like it definitely as I got older, I realized just how important it was to some stuff. Like there's a
Mhm.
lot of things, even stuff I'm dealing with now, where it's like I look back and it's like, dang. I really did have some issues back then that
Right.
should have been really established or really should have been recognized, but I just pushed it off as like, oh no, it'll be better when I get older, or oh, that's just part of life. It's like rub a little dirt on the wound.
Right.
So this is definitely like a good few things where it's like mental health should definitely be recognized in a good few ways. Because
Right.
then I'll notice it get shoved off, it will get projected in ways that we might not even notice sometimes with the way I might be acting, with the way I've seen a friend acting, with just certain habits I'll create where it's like it's actually a mental health issue, but it's my head. I just say, oh, it's just a habit I have, no big deal, nothing as
Right.
is.
Right.
hmm but as a whole, though, to start the video, to get really like down to to really start off with some good topics. I'll say, let me ask you this, Pastor Dez.
Okay.
What do you classify as being okay?
Oh, that's good. That's really good. That's a good question, kid. Like I rock with that. Um, I think being okay. Okay, two part. I'll give you two part. I think being okay is accepting that you're not.
Mhm.
Um,
That's a good one.
and I think that really throws a lot of people off because I feel like we have this assumption of this progressive place or this destination of mental health where we're not struggling with a thing. And I believe that a lot of times we will be doing a certain, like feeling a certain thing, and then our disappointment in the fact that we actually feel is what makes it even worse. Like I'm mad. Now I'm mad that I'm mad at this situation. And sometimes it's necessary to be okay with the fact that you're not okay. You're sad. So be sad. You're mad at this person. So be mad. You're still in love with this person. Accept that. You know what
You know,
I
that's real crazy because
mean?
I feel myself going through some of the same stuff now, really, where
Yeah.
it's like there's definitely some stuff in terms of like fallout with a friend, fallout
Uh-huh.
with like an ex-lover, everything like
Right.
that. Like there's definitely
Right.
though that same stuff you said, I had to kind of realize myself, oh, okay, I'm trying to work through it and do all this and that type of stuff. But I had to recognize I'm still sad, I'm still hurting.
Yeah. You're
Came back home for
human.
the summer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're
It's just
human.
hard to accept that I'm human sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like for a lot of people in general, especially
Hmm.
for people where it's like you said for people that really like maybe they want to go to college or even if they work, if they stay work in their hometown or whatever, but they want to make it to a certain point,
Right.
especially with the standards that people are on now, where it's like lots of people want to be. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but a lot of people want to be a top dog celebrity. A lot of people want to be on the top of their game, on the top of their level it pushes you to that level where it's like when you do have an issue you got to establish, you brush it off real quick because it's like, oh no, I know I got hurt by that friend, but nah, I'm good, I'm good. I'll work it through. Or oh, I knew that guy or that girl, they did me wrong, but man, I'm good. I'll brush it off. I'll brush it off.
But
But
you could still be that guy or that girl,
mhm,
be bothered.
yeah,
You
hmm
you can still be in a situation where you're functioning on a level of, hey, this pain really got me. This person who may not have needed to be in my life hurt me. And
hmm
you feeling sad or being bothered doesn't stop you from being that guy, that girl. And I think that's the
yeah,
saddest part is that we rush to the desire to be numb. Like, I don't want to feel this anymore. Okay, well, you may get to a point where you're numb, but the numbing of it doesn't just numb that moment. If you numb something, like I don't want to feel this anymore, that numbness, that that it starts to veer into the rest of your life. You don't realize that that numbing process, well, now you don't even feel when you're attacking somebody. You don't even feel when you're talking to somebody crazy because you thought the numbness only addressed what you were feeling for the person, but it also numbed your feeling when you deal with people. You don't even feel when people are uncomfortable being around you. You can't even feel that because of that run to that. Everybody wants to be in appearance or to feel okay. And
hmm
you got to be okay with not being okay.
yeah, and that's the thing that's hard to accept sometimes. I only say it on my part, like.
Hmm.
I'll say a good example, at least in my book, was that's relating back to the situation that was with me recently. You know, I had a fallout with a friend where, you know, there was just things going on with him, at least from my side of the story and everything like that, from what I was seeing. It's like
Yeah,
there was apparently stuff going on with him and
yeah.
person, a girl that I used to have relations with and everything. And they were
Hmm.
both people I was still close with. And
Right.
mind you, even with the guy, he was a friend that I was close with since like sixth grade. And he
Oh
was
wow.
I saw him as a brother, if not more
Yeah.
than some of my own brothers in a way sometimes because of
Mhm.
how long I've known him. And
Right.
yet it was like with that stuff, it was like in that time, I wasn't impressed about the fact over the girl, but more so the fact of over just the betrayal of it. Like, oh, how you gonna do this and that and lie about these and those things and me through all this, and then
Hmm.
expect me like kind of brush like it was just a whole bunch of stuff with it. And in processing that stuff, it was definitely a phase where I try to chalk it up as, oh, I'll be fine. I'll get my get back. You know, I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna just live my life and be fine.
Yeah.
But there was definitely one day I woke up in my dorm. I woke up and I sat in my bed and I just so defeated. And I was like, I'm not gonna lie to
Yeah.
you. I have nothing in me that I want to do, nothing else with life right now. Like there,
Right.
it's definitely like right. It's like with when it comes to dealing with those feelings of realizing that you're not okay. At least in my experiences, I realized that it's like sometimes the hard way to deal with that realizing that you're not okay is that you sometimes just hit that wall on
Yep.
one day. Like you may not know it, but it's like, you know, you'll hit that wall one day where you just wake up and it's like, dang. it got me good. Like,
It
it's
got
definitely
you,
that
and
realization.
that's the hardest part about this. I tell my wife this. We've done this for each other. We have a tendency for to do this. We'll get tired, and instead of responding to the tired with our body, we keep pushing, and then we keep pushing until we get to a point where we're just done. And so we'll fall out, go to sleep, and stuff like that. And so we realized, looking at each other, it's unhealthy. And I think this it's not just physically, it's mentally, it's emotionally. We people, just like you're just saying, we have a tendency to keep pushing past how we feel until we reach that wall where we don't want to do anything, we don't want to move, we want to do anything. Like we find ourselves feeling just fully defeated. And I believe there's certain parts of an emotion that we cannot let hang because you never know what that emotion is going to do if it's not dealt with. You know what I mean? Like if you don't deal with that
Hmm.
thing, it's going to creep up on you. Like for instance, say um I'm in my room, I'm in a room, and all of a sudden I see this huge spider in the room, and I
Right.
see it, and it's crawling around, but it goes up under one of the tables or one of my desk or even under the bed. Instead of me going to address that thing, I just cut off the light and be like,
Hmm.
it'll die away. It'll be all good. No, that sucker is
Yeah,
crawling
it's
around
sickle.
in that room while you sleeping. Like nobody, no, especially no
Hmm.
girl. Ain't no girl about to go back to sleep in that room when she knows
Exactly.
there's a spider crawling around in the dark and she can't see. And that's your emotion, man. If you don't go over there and squash it, now that's good. You don't go over
That's a good one. That's a good one.
there, you don't go over there and squash it, man. That thing is creeping around your room of your mind all day long, and you don't know how
Hmm.
many times it bit you. You don't know how many times how much venom is in you now, and the that venom, it starts to change you. Now you looking like Spider-Man because it's changed your makeup.
Yeah.
You're starting
Hmm.
to act out the same way the spider is. And had you had crushed it when you found it and weren't afraid to look under the bed to get it, you'd have been all right. But it's like
Hmm.
address it now. Don't, give yourself a chance to kind of, see what's going on. Give yourself room. But there's a difference between room and disassociation. Like, oh, it's nothing. No, it is something.
Yeah.
It is
Hmm.
something. So
I see
yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah,
So
yeah,
then on that note, then when you talk about addressing, then so
yeah.
then what do you think is like? Because here's the thing on my part on that end too. It's
Mhm.
like you'll definitely see there's a stark contrast when it comes to how different people deal with it. When it comes to like girls would deal with it compared to guys, but not even
Okay,
just that. Even when it comes to like how you may see black people deal with it compared to white people, or
of
like
course.
you'll see a black person say, "Oh, I don't go to therapy. We know that's not for us." You'll
Right,
see another person of another race say, "Oh no, we don't do this because of this and that reason." Or you'll even see maybe a black girl of this race and maybe like a light skinned girl, like a brighter tone girl of the
right,
same
right.
race and everything like that, but a lot of complexion. They have two whole different mentalities towards stuff. So then
Right.
what would you say for people like that in those situations where they're saying, "Oh, but they don't deal with or oh, my mom and daddy, they didn't go to therapy and they're good now. They didn't have to deal with that stuff." Like what would you say to that?
Okay. That's a broad question, but I get I get what you're saying because it does make sense. It has to be brought to address all of those variables. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, and I think honestly, you kind of answered it, but in your question, we go to therapy to address so many different variables within our own lives. Like all of us are looking at the world and dealing with the same world with a different mindset for everything. No matter how much I can tell you about what I see or what I'm going through, I'll never be able to look at the world through your eyes. We're two black men.
Right.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, we're two different generations. We have an experience that is totally different. I didn't come up
Hmm.
on social media. That's social media
Hmm.
came around when I was in college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Oh, really? Oh, that's
I know.
crazy.
Yeah, I'm telling age, ain't I? I'm telling my age. So, but though that type of thing, man, it it exposes a truth that I think we all have to accept, that we're all different. And my wife said something to me that I thought, to this day, it still um, rats true to me. She said, "We will go to the doctor for everything. We'll break your arm, you go to the doctor. Something's going on in your stomach, and you're in pain, you go to the doctor. Um, you will do all anything going on with the body, you handle it." She said, "But the only place that we won't deal with is the brain." And
Yeah.
at a certain point, you have to understand it's a part of you. It's a physical part of your body that, in certain points, whatever it needs, we need to address it. And you can't just, "Well, I'm gonna pray about it," or "I ain't gonna worry about it." But imagine if you had a broken leg and said, "I'll just walk it off."
Yeah,
Like,
you know you're gonna be limping everywhere. Yeah,
you know what I'm
I see
saying?
what you mean.
Or
Yeah.
you won't even be able to walk. You know what I'm saying? And
That yeah.
I think all of us are thinking on broken legs. You think you're walking, but you're really just stumbling, and you've just accepted the fact that you crawl. I crawl all day, but I call it
Yeah.
walking. And I think the stigma behind it, of course, black families aren't really into the therapy thing. I think there's a multiplicity of reasons, but um, now that we are in a place where more of us are able to afford it, then we should take advantage of those things that can make us better. And I
Hmm.
do believe there's a fear of, actually addressing your past. And many of us we would rather just act like it never happened. But acting like something never happened doesn't mean it's not still happening, because an unchecked
Yeah.
past is a very present. And what I mean by that is your actions, what you're doing, are affected by the things that you're acting like no longer affect you. So
Hmm.
attitude, you know, uh, dismissiveness, numbness, like we said before, that
Yeah.
is
Okay.
a unaddressed thing that happened in your past. You cannot have a
Hmm.
trauma response without trauma. You can't have a defense
Yeah. See,
mechanism.
that's a big thing.
You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
You may not want to remember how you got it, but without checking your past, you'll still have it. So you're
Yeah.
reliving it this whole time, and you're saying, "Well, I want to think about it." Yeah, but your body, your actions, your mind are still responding to stuff that you refuse to address, not realizing that your
Hmm.
actions are showing that you're still consistently addressing it.
Yeah, like my it's real similar to the way I think of it as because like
Yeah,
the what my best way of thinking of it when it comes to mental health type of stuff is
yeah,
that I think of it as like you like think I think of it as like you're in a whole like you're at a runway and like as you're running down that runway, you may have some demons behind you that you're just thinking, oh, I'll outrun them. I'll keep on going. And
yeah,
as you're running and running and running, but the more you outrun them, the more it's gonna add on, the more they're gonna build up. So now one moment where you stumble or fall, the one moment where you trip up a little bit and they all
yeah.
catch on to you, that recoil is gonna be so much worse because you're gonna
Right,
at first you was running away from one or two. But then
right.
now the fact that you tripped up, you was running for all those years, now you got like 10, 20, 30 of them all piling up on top of
Yep.
you. And it's gonna be that much more. It's gonna
Yeah.
hit you that much harder. That recoil is gonna be coming like it's gonna come like a deer in headlights when it
Yeah.
hits you, like
Yeah. 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 That's good.
hmm
That's good, kid. You made me proud with that one. That's really good. I
hmm
like it. I like
But
that.
you, but even on okay, and also on that note, then what's a moment where with you in your experience, whether you was younger or older, what's
Okay.
like a moment or like what's a story you can give where it's like you had an experience when you really had to sit down and realize when you sat down, maybe you had an outburst, you did something that was so out of character, or you had to really just have that moment when you sat back and realized I'm not okay. I had to like you had to sit down and realize I gotta fix myself up. I really gotta get myself straight.
Um, you might have been a part of it. Let me tell you why.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I know you're like, wait, whoa, 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 whoa,
Ooh.
whoa. No, no, no. There was a time in the gym, in you remember we used to have our
Mhm.
times in there, and so
Yeah.
and you weren't directly a part of, you were just a part of the crew. You were with everybody
Yeah.
else, with one way. And I remember we were there was a the gym is huge. Of course, there's the Parisian where people can go behind it and do whatever they do. And during the service, we used to have people that would walk in there and be talking while I'm trying to
Yeah.
teach and stuff like that. So I
Hmm.
remember I was teaching, all of y'all were there, and I'm teaching, and somebody's behind the curtain talking. It's one of
Hmm.
the whoever they were, they just happened to walk into a part of the church. And
Right.
so they first started talking at first. And so I was like, I told one of my volunteers, I was like, hey, you go tell them to please calm down.
Right.
And they went back there and told them they got quiet for a second. Then they start talking real loud again. So I looked and I looked, and so y'all looked at me. And so I was like, so I went to another volunteer. I said, hey man, y'all, will you go tell them to please be quiet a little bit so we can, continue what we're doing?
Yeah.
So I'm teaching, still teaching. So they start talking again. So I look and I start walking towards it. And the whole one-way crew, the whole
I
everybody,
might remember that
yeah,
actually.
yeah.
I think
So
I might remember that.
everybody said,
Don't do.
Pastor Des, stop. Nope. Keep teaching, please. Keep teaching. Nope, stop. And so I sat there for a second because it was funny until I realized I was like, oh no, like even the babies know that I got to click. There's a,
Yeah.
you know what
Uh-huh.
I'm saying? And at that moment, I realized, I said, oh, you need to check this. Because what I loved about, you know, youth ministry, of course, I was always honest, tell the truth
Hmm.
about, myself, and never lied about anything as far as, my personality, because I wanted y'all to be real Christians. So of course I'm be real, but it came
Yeah.
with telling y'all stuff about me that maybe some people wouldn't want to tell because they want to feel a certain way about themselves or wanted you to see them a certain way. So I think because I divulged the type of character I am, and y'all had seen me a couple of times have to, I guess, act up a little bit. That moment went and I mean, all of y'all were like, "Oh no, pass this, keep teaching, keep teaching." And I think one of y'all went back there and started talking to him, and they finally got quiet. But I know for me, I said to myself, wow, if I got that type of mentality like that, everybody know when I click that I need to be handled like, hey, you need to you chill.
Hmm.
I said that's when I know I need to check that. I need to check whatever that click is. But that was definitely a moment where I was like,
Hmm.
because I'm a full fledged ministry pastor, and I'm
Yeah. You about to like just start popping off in a second. Yeah, yeah, I
everybody.
understand. Yeah. Like,
And I can't, I mean, Cam, you know me. I can't
right.
be confident in saying that I wouldn't have said some things that I wasn't supposed to say. You
Yeah. No, I
you
mean,
know what I'm
no one's
saying?
perfect. No one's perfect. I don't blame you. No one's perfect,
Right,
you know?
right,
It's just the fact, yeah, no one's perfect. I mean, I say it myself, like no one's perfect. I say myself, I'm far from perfect. It is, I
right.
just try to push towards a level of perfection I want to at least push for, you know?
Exactly.
Also, I want to like aim for that point of like mental health awareness or whatever type of stuff. Yeah, I know
Right.
I'm never probably gonna hit it, but it's like I still want to like try and push for it nonetheless, you
Do
know?
your best.
Yeah.
Do
Hmm.
your best. So
Yeah.
I was
So no,
definitely,
I did.
you
There's
gotta
definitely
feel.
those moments. Yeah, there's definitely the moments. I know with me. I'd probably say one moment. It's like there's a good few moments that I know I can definitely say I had to make a realization about my mental health.
Okay.
I'd probably say one moment that's definitely stuck with me too. I know there's definitely one thing that's definitely really stuck with me because
Okay.
it kind of relates to some other stuff or future lessons I want to do for these videos and stuff.
Right,
But
right.
as a whole, it was during my sophomore year of high school, I think,
Okay.
and during that time, it's like. I definitely say like when by the time I hit my sophomore year of high school, I could definitely say like you know how like every guy and girl hit that phase in life where they kind of hit their little glow up, you know, like they go kind of looking like this,
Mm-hmm.
facial wise or however wise, body
Yep.
wise, and hit that point where like they really can't start feeling themselves, you know?
Yeah, you starting to develop a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
That was my sophomore year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I was trying to feel myself, and it's like beforehand, I could definitely say it's like when I was younger. I'll definitely say, obviously, I tried, like, especially during middle school, you know, there's a few girls try to holler at here and here,
Uh-huh.
this and that. But it's like, I'll definitely say there was a good few times, you know, at the time where I got rejected outright, you know. At the time, I remember this, I don't think it was in middle school, I got an ill from a girl, and it broke, oh, it hit me so hard. So it's
Really?
like, Yeah, so it was
Yeah.
like in that time, it definitely. I want to. It's not saying I was in the mentality of oh, nice guys should try and get the girls all the time. I'm not saying I was in that mentality, but
Uh-huh.
I was definitely in a mentality where it's like with my own mental health, it was like I viewed myself in a way that wasn't as healthy as I should have viewed it. So then by the time I hit
Yeah.
my glow up, and by the time some girls were actually looking my way, I was like, oh, okay, man, I'm
Right.
gonna do whatever. I'm gonna like act the cut the fool, everything like that, you know? And I'm definitely acting really out of character in the way I was treating people and the way I was talking to girls, everything like that. I was acting really out of
And
character in ways, you know?
right.
So then it's like I remember it was my sophomore year. There was one girl. Actually, me and her are friends to this day and everything. We're real cool with each other. But it's
Right.
like there was one girl named Elena where I remember it was like in the time me and her dating, I'll say I did her wrong. I hurt her and everything. And
Yeah.
in that time, that was the first situation. That was the first time where I hurt someone, but it's like I kind of felt it on my end too. But it's
Uh,
like
uh-huh.
I recoil back some. And then further on down the line, but then further on down the line, I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I'll brush it off, do my thing.
Yeah.
But then turn around, it was one day I think I was texting my best friend. Like my best friend, like she's my closest friend to this day too.
Mhm.
But it's like me and her talking, and I think she over like me and her talking this and that. And obviously, I was going around about, oh, I'm not trying to talk to this and that girl and this and that do. And she was like, oh, well, aren't you still talking with so and so? I was like, oh no, it's all good. Don't worry about that. And in
Oh.
that very moment, it was like I'll never forget it. Like she just kind of snapped. Like I
Oh yeah.
mean, I mean, the amount of text, voice messages. I mean, you could have took a whole essay out of everything she said,
Uh,
breaking me
uh,
down bit by bit, saying okay, Cam, I'm done with your BS. I'm done with this and that. I've had to
right.
defend you behind closed doors. I've had to do this and that because you do all these and those type of things. Like she was going in on me. I'm just
Wow.
sitting there because I mean, I couldn't say nothing bad. I mean, she wasn't wrong. And so I'm
Yeah,
just sitting
yeah.
there. She's just
That's
going
a
in
good
on
friend.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it's something I'm happy that she did it to this day because it definitely did impact me. And it definitely gave me a moment where I had to sit back and I was like, okay, then
Mhm.
honestly, how am I as a person? Because it definitely made me realize, okay, then, because of my own mental health from the past, from even in the past when I was younger, being bullied and pushed around, different things like that,
Yeah.
kind of let all these things kind of pile up on me in a way to where it was like, I'm not even gonna blame the other people that did it to me. While I'm not gonna say that, oh, you know, I'm not gonna say that I'm not gonna say as if like for even other people that may have been in my situation as well too, because I do know some people who kind of went through the same process I did with yeah, their mental health dealing with that stuff. I'm not gonna say that it's all our own fault that oh we should have been able to handle it as is, because obviously it falls on some faults for the people that were targeting us in some ways, but
Mhm.
also a majority of it falls on our part where it's like, or even my part where I had to realize, okay, then yeah, okay, a person can say this and that about me. A person can do these and those things, but I had to realize I had to recognize my own self-love, my own mental health, and realize,
Yeah.
hey, people are
Yeah.
gonna say these things about me. And that was the moment that she really did help me grow into a person where I had to
Right.
realize my own life and why I still sometimes have to realize to this day that, hey, you know, people are gonna say stuff. People are
Yep.
gonna do stuff. Things are gonna happen. Things still happen
Yep.
with me to this day where someone comes to me real sideways. And
Right.
it's really just like, but it's like now I had to learn how to deal with that stuff where it's like, hey, just because a girl did me dirty, just because this and that happened, just because this friend can't be crazy, doesn't mean I have to crash out and I have to make it worse for everybody else. Just
Yeah.
because these and those experiences happen to me doesn't mean that I have to let it shape my own being. That's a big thing where it's like, yeah, your trauma or your past event, all the way I see it as is your trauma and your past events, they can definitely impact the person you are.
Yeah.
They can impact you, but don't let them
Yeah.
shape you.
Yeah.
Anything everything that happens to you in life, like you can let it impact you in different ways, but you never want to let it shape you. Just feel
Right.
it shape you, it's gonna take you into a shape that you may not want it as, or take it as a shape that is not gonna be beneficial for you, you know?
You know,
That's the way I see it as.
you tapped into something I thought was I think is amazing. Because you know saying that it's going to impact you, but it shouldn't shape you, and I love that because it's a true thing. I think one of the most toxic things that people say all the time is, you know, I went through it. It was hard, but it made me a better person. Maybe it didn't.
Yeah,
Maybe
exactly. There's some stuff that don't always make you a better person,
maybe
you know?
maybe maybe you went through because we'll it made me stronger. No, it just made you harder. Harder and
Exactly.
stronger are not the same things. And
Yeah.
I, I've I've seen so many people fall to the well. Look at me. I turned out well. Did you? Did you,
Yeah, you
did,
know.
did you really turn out that
Yeah,
well?
I
Like,
understand you. Like in those situations, I feel like it's just a when I hear a person say that, sometimes I'm thinking the way I envision it is that it's like when you say harder but not stronger, it's like they got that outer shell, they got all them
yep,
layers. What happens when that one like bullet piercing armor hits through? They hit that soft layer, you know.
off layer on the
What you
inside.
gonna do? Yeah.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do when somebody brings up things from your past that you haven't addressed now? What triggers you? Like
Yes.
triggers you. You start to, and that's so important to mental health. What are your triggers? What are the things that
Hmm.
somebody says to you? Because I mean, especially when you get into a relationship,
Yeah, that's a
if
big thing. You gotta
if
recognize
your
them.
spouse says something that the person who hurt you in your past, you will overreact. There's no getting away
That's
from it. You're
yeah.
gonna overreact.
Mhm.
If it's a trigger, you're gonna overreact. And somebody said something that was so cool to me. They said 20. They said 80% of your anger has nothing to do with what you're going through right now.
That's actually crazy. That's crazy to hear. Like,
Yeah,
I've never thought of it that way. Yeah.
they said 80% of what you're mad about right now is not about what's going on right now.
Hmm.
20% is about what you're dealing with right now. But the 80% is the unchecked stuff that you've accumulated over time that you haven't addressed that is now being layered over what you're dealing with right now.
Hmm.
And
Okay, that's
that's
a
a
crazy way to think about it.
you know what I'm saying? Because in that moment now, because you know that 80% of your response and your anger is from triggers of the past or all that other stuff, it makes you now want to deal with your past. Because if you were in the moment with just that 20% anger, you probably would have responded differently. And there'll probably be a lot less damage that was
Mm,
caused by your actions
yeah,
after somebody triggering you
definitely.
to hit somebody with that 80%. Like you're
Hmm.
you're talking to your boyfriend or your girlfriend, but you're really talking to your stepdad or your stepmom or your dad or your mom. That's who
Yeah,
you really,
that's a good way to think about it,
that's
honestly.
really what's happening. Yeah. So
Hmm.
I know that it's hard for people to hear that, but mental health is really addressing the truth. You may be yelling at somebody that you really love and telling them the things that you should have told the person that hurt you before, but you're too afraid to even talk to them. So you tell it to
Really?
the people
Yeah.
that you can talk to. And so now, okay, before I go here, all right, Cam, you know me now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
this is gonna be a little rough to say, but
Hmm.
this
I mean, say what you gotta say. Say what you gotta say, really.
okay, Cam. My kid. Here's so if your triggers when you're talking to somebody else, you haven't said what you were supposed to say to the person who hurt you, right? So
Hmm.
you say all of it to the people that love you, but you're not afraid of, and they'll listen to it. So the abuse or the pain or the disrespect that you dealt with before, because you couldn't give it back, you transfer it to the next person.
Yeah.
And so here it is. But when you transfer it to them, they see you the same way you saw that person. So
So
they're
you really
not
just
gonna give it,
embody them.
they're not going to give it to you. Who are they going to give it to?
You only give it
The
to
next person.
them. Yeah.
So then there's the cycle.
It's just a whole domino effect.
It's a domino effect, and I've said this to y'all before, and I mean this. If you don't deal with your stuff, you're only going to become a clone to the people that hurt you. So
That's a crazy thing to hear.
it's
Yeah.
it's can you imagine? Can you imagine going through all of that pain, having that much? Because a lot of people have hate, having that
Mhm.
much, just you can't stand that person to only become them to
That's
somebody else.
so like if I was to look in the mirror one day and realize I became something like that, that would be like a just a world shattering event to honestly happen. Cause it's
World,
like, you know,
yep, it's a world
mhm,
shattering event, and it also makes you realize that the person that you cannot stand or the person that hurt you, it might not be. if you can suffer a trauma like that, then they can suffer a trauma like that too.
Exactly. That's definitely a big thing. Like that's one thing I'll realize too when it comes to ask the question of am I okay? Oh, how does this trauma shape me? Asking all those things. I'll
Yeah,
see a lot. I'll see some people where it's like, or I'll see some cases with some people where it's like they're trying to find those problems, but in doing those problems, sometimes not even in a mean way, sometimes they are their own problem, you know? You
they
see
are
some
their
people
problem.
where, yeah, I've seen
That's
some people
good,
where
boy. That's
they,
good.
yeah, you know,
That's good.
some people I've met where it's like, they'll talk I'll say they can say some really good things about mental
Yeah,
health in terms of realizing yourself, in terms of being a better person.
yeah,
But then when it comes to them dealing with their own stuff, when it comes to them asking the question, oh, why are all these problems happening to me? I know how to do these and that. I know how to do all these different things. So why are these problems happening? But they're their own problem. They don't recognize that they're the
yeah,
ones causing these things themselves, you know? Like, you'll see a girl question, oh, why am I only getting with toxic guys? Why am I only doing this? Or why all
yeah,
these things end up bad for me? But sometimes they got to realize I'm the one bringing the toxicity to the situations. Some people have some friendships where it's like, oh, why do all my friends duck out on me? Why they don't want to hang on me like that? Why they don't like me like that? Oh, my
right.
friends just it's not like they don't nothing. But really, you got to realize you're the friend that's a little bit of the problem. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Sometimes you gotta make that
yeah,
realization where you gotta really look at the mirror. Like in my eyes, I see to really recognize mental health, you gotta
yeah.
realize all your problems, but also take into account are you the problem?
Are
Because
you the
sometimes
yeah,
you'll be looking at all things on the ground. You'll be looking at all the things on the ground, looking at all the little bits. When that big bit is like right above your head, you gotta
mhm.
sometimes just look up to realize, oh. It's right on me. It's I'm the real issue with it, you know? And that's
You,
really
you
what it is.
you made me think about something. With what you said, because it's like, am I the problem? And I've seen it on on Instagram and TikTok where they is it me? It's like, yeah, it's you. Um,
Mhm.
and I will say this: I know that my mental health grew when I started to see, yeah, it's me. We want to see all of the problems in everybody else. We love it, but for some odd reason, we are blind to ourselves in 2020 with everybody else. And
Right.
you're saying what you said. It reminds me of standing in the sun um, on a very sunny day. You're outside. It's sunny, and your issues are your shadow. And it's like you're you're walking all over the place, and everybody, I don't know why, it's so much wild and stuff like this, and your issue is your shadow. Like it's right there behind you. If you would just turn around and look,
Mhm.
you can see it. It's been there the whole time, but
Yeah.
because you only see yourself in the sunlight, you don't want to turn around and see the darkness that you are putting on this earth. You don't want to pay attention to it. And if you could see it, then you can counteract it when you're in certain situations. Instead of somebody saying something triggering to you and you respond, you be in the same situation. They say something triggering and you say to them, I just need a second. I need a
Yeah.
moment.
That's really what it is.
You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I would tell people, because you said being okay. if if you want to be okay with turning around and seeing your own shadow,
Yeah.
seeing your own darkness, seeing your own issues. And the more and I did this with my wife, our relationship got so much better. Me and her used to laugh about it. We were like, we used to fight facing each other. Now we fight with our backs to each other. And that has been, we said it's us against the world, not us against each other. And the only
Mhm.
way we got that was when I and her started saying, "Whoa, if I get me together, us together gets better. But if I spend more time trying to figure out what your issue is and telling you what your issue is, we just get worse." And that's where things got better, man. I started paying more attention to my issues and correcting my issues, and it was funny. The offset of me doing better at doing checking myself made us better.
That's really what it is sometimes, you know. It's
Mhm.
really just sometimes taking that fact, like stepping back, and so yeah, sometimes that step back can be a lifesaver, you know.
Yes, it
Like it's
can.
definitely there's a whole bunch of times where if my mental space was not in that right, maybe if my mental space was not in that area, you know, I'm doing going about my day, and just someone says
Yeah.
that one thing that is like it really just about to set me off. I gotta take
It
that step back,
throws
be
you.
like, wait, hold on,
Right.
take that step back. Be like,
Yeah.
okay, you know what? I'm gonna walk past it today.
I need a
You
second.
know,
Yeah.
so I'll there's definitely a good few times where I was really
Yeah.
considering,
Yeah.
especially when it comes in with being in a relationship too, is like being in a
Yeah.
relationship,
Yeah.
doing that stuff in relationships, whether it's with a friend, wife, girlfriend, especially a brother or a sister, that type of
Right.
stuff where it's those close relationships, it's real hard not to do it because
This.
there's a lot of times I was maybe in a argument with my own younger brother or with someone I was dating at the time, or even especially even with my own best friend. There's a
Yeah.
good few times when me and her got in an argument, and we may be going at it. You know, we will be
Right.
going back and forth, but there's a
Right.
certain threshold. I'm not gonna cross that. You know, maybe when my mental health wasn't in a better spot, I would maybe definitely say some way more out of pocket things. But at
Yeah.
least now where I'm at now, there's certain things I would never consider saying to her because for one, I cherish my life. And for two, I cherish our relationship. You know, I cherish our relationship with each
Ah,
other too. So, you
ah,
know, it's
see,
like, yeah, it definitely when you
demanding.
realize, yeah, you know, you realize those things about like when you realize things about your own mental health, it
Yeah.
definitely does. You'll see that difference in your own relationships and the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you
Right.
act. You know, especially how some people they want to have that glow. Especially how some people, a lot of people now, they want to have that glow. They want to some guys want to be that guy that girls can be lining up for them. Girls,
Of
they want to
course.
attract the right
Of
guys to
course.
them. Sometimes
Of course.
it's down to fat. Your own mental health space has to be in the right spot because you attract like-minded people. You know what I mean?
That's
You know
that's
you.
that's definitely true. Yep.
Mhm.
You
And
know what though, Cam, you said something. I want to give you a little like a little tip. You know,
mhm.
you know how we do.
Yeah, yeah.
So with your relationships, I had to learn this the hard way.
Hmm.
If y'all are if she does made you mad, you're in full festivity. If you take maybe just a second to walk away and come back, I've learned that you will be convinced in the moment that that's how you feel, and then you walk away and you sit for about 20 minutes and
Hmm.
realize that's not how you feel, and you come back. And the reason I learned that is because words to another person can never be erased. They can be forgiven,
Yeah.
but they can't be erased. So saying, well, I was
Hmm.
just saying it out of my emotions will not stop it from being remembered.
Hmm.
Like for instance, I could be playing with a gun and you're in front of me and it goes off and it shoots you. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm sorry. It's just a flesh wound, but you still
Yeah, yeah.
shot me. You know?
I'm sorry, but you're still shot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
You know?
I can
I definitely see what you
apologize
mean. No, I
all I
understand what you're
want to.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I could. Oh, I'm so sorry for saying that. I'm so sorry, but you're still bleeding. You know what I mean? So
Exactly. Yeah. You know, the
yeah,
one you still did it in the first
yeah,
place. You
yeah.
know.
Whether it
Hmm.
was accident or not, I still shot you.
Right. And
Whether
I even
I,
say from
yeah.
right.
Go
I
ahead.
even say from my perspective on it too. I'll definitely say in a situation like that too. I even say like if like let's say if someone were to tell me, I know a few people they feel the same way. Where it's like if someone were to tell me or tell them, "Oh my bad, I just did that out of my emotions." It's like two thoughts go in my head. One, hey, do you not have self control to control yourself, like to do
Exactly.
what you're saying?
That's
And then
good.
two,
That's
yeah,
good, Cam.
and then two, it's like, okay, then sure, you can say that out of your emotions, but that means that thought was circulating in your head. So obviously, it's like
Mm,
that's like saying that that's like in my head at least, I would say that's like if a guy would go out and cheat on a girl, but he said, "Oh my bad, I was feeling myself one day, it won't happen again." It's like okay, that means the thought was still in your head to be doing
it
it
was
though.
already in your head.
So like
Yeah.
wow, I know thoughts can come in and out of your head. That's we all have
Yeah.
intrusive thoughts,
Right.
but if that thought is there long enough to linger for you to
Yeah.
possibly act on it,
Yeah.
that I feel like that's a bit of an issue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
That self control thing is so big. It's so
Yeah.
it's so big because There are so many people apologizing for actions that they have no real plans to change. They they just don't. They
Mhm.
have there are people that have perfected apologizing and have done nothing to action change,
Yeah,
behavior change.
that's
They just
mhm.
I just want to no. I know for a fact if I apologize to you and apologize right, you'll take me back.
Yeah,
You
there's a whole bunch of things, and I'll definitely say with people like that. I mean, I used to be one of the people for when I was in that time phase, and even then,
too.
I know people like that too now.
Me too.
I'll definitely
Hmm.
say in that own mental space, at least in my own experience, I was definitely in that mindset where it's like, oh, I feel like sometimes that those type of attributes can sometimes come from obviously like past traumas and how people have
Right.
done you in the past.
Hmm.
Also from the fact of like obviously your own self-love, how you view yourself. Like at
Yeah.
least for me, I knew some other guys and me for like our thought process in that time when we were going through those phases, like, oh, okay, I feel like I'm that guy. Like I can finally feel like I'm that guy where I can go through this and that person. Or even on the girls' end, I met some girls where they can feel like they're that girl, where they can go through this and that person. They can go through all these different type of people and they can say, oh yeah, I have a high body count. Oh yeah, I got all type of game. Oh yeah, I know I got a whole crew. I have a whole lot of people that don't want to be. But it's like, is that you? Like, I feel like for you to really love yourself, you have to be able to like, I feel for you to really to properly love yourself, you got to be able to sit there, whether it's one person, whether it's just a friend, whether it's maybe like, or with yourself, you got to be able to sit there and still think in your head, I'm that person. You can walk out by yourself. You ain't got you don't have a half a whole roster of people testing your phone and that type of stuff. You can
That's
walk
it.
out and you can still feel, okay, hey,
That's
that
it, man.
person. I'm the catch, not in
Yeah.
an egotistical type of way, but just in a
Right.
self-love type of way that, hey,
Yeah.
I'm the catch.
I'm a
I'm that
catch.
guy. I'm that girl,
Right.
because it's never wrong to feel like you're that person. It's never wrong to feel
Yeah.
like that. There's a
Yeah.
limitation with it, but that's how everything
Yeah.
is. Everything's in moderation. But it's like,
Right.
there's no problem to feel like, oh, yeah, I'm a catch. Oh, there's no problem to feel like, oh, if that person did you dirty, instead of obsessing over the fact of, am I the issue? Am I the fact? Am I the problem? Sure, go over that thought in your head. Also, if you recognize that, hey, I did myself right. Hey, I do have my own self love properly. It's okay to recognize. Okay, then that's their loss. It's okay to say that and recognize that. That's part of self
Absolutely.
love.
Yeah. I love that, Cam. It's a self-love, it's a self-love depth that we don't really pay attention to. And the funny
Hmm.
thing I would ask people is when you want to be that girl or that guy, what defines that girl or that guy? And
Yeah.
most often than not, we want to be that girl or that guy to everybody around us. We want
Right.
everybody to acknowledge that we're that guy or that girl. That's the key defining moment that everybody recognizes that we are that. And if we get to that point, then we're that person. We'll look at these celebrities and be like, man, I get to that point where everybody recognizes me. And it's like,
Hmm.
nah, really, really self mental health is when the acknowledgement of you being that guy, that girl is of a party of one. You're that person. You literally have self love enough to say, whether anybody agrees with me or not, I'm still worthy of whatever thing that I'm doing my best at to get. I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of, you know, finishing this degree. I'm worthy of this job. I'm worthy of this opportunity. And I don't need other people to confirm that from me because I believe that I'm worthy of it. I've worked for it. We're
Hmm.
there's extremes. I don't just think I'm worthy of doing the surgery.
Yeah.
Did you
You
did you
just
go to
really get your
school for
degree,
that?
you know,
Right.
you gonna botch it up a little bit. Like, yeah,
There's
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 limitations.
limits.
Hmm.
But yeah, man, I love that because in its simplest form, mental health it will find its way around one way or not the self love, the
Hmm.
the the
I feel like that's
not
definitely one of the biggest areas where I definitely feel that's
exactly.
some of the biggest.
And
Is
we feel that if everybody loves us, then we'll love ourselves, and that is not it.
exactly because even
That's
then the
not
way I
it.
think of it too is like everyone else loving you. There's times where there's always gonna be that time in life where either you feel like it or there's legitimately a time where you may not get that love from everybody else. So like
That part.
if you can't rely on everyone else's light. It's like you can't rely on everyone else's water bill, everyone else's light bill. Because what happens when everyone else moves out the apartment, everyone else moves out the
Right.
crib? Like you
Right.
ever gonna pay for it yourself? You take
Right.
care of it yourself?
Right.
Or is that light just gonna fizzle out, you know? And I
Exactly.
feel like that's definitely a big part of it. And
Exactly.
even linking to that, my last question for you then is like,
Go
we're
for it.
talking about mental health, we're talking about all these different aspects of it, but it's like, how do you feel like what do you feel like if someone will walk up to you right now and ask, hey, how can I really learn to love myself? How can I learn to achieve this? What will be maybe like the one main thing you feel like you could tell them that could carry some weight?
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm a pastor, so you're a former youth young adult pastor. Of course, my first is your faith. Getting
Mhm.
closer to God. My faith, my belief in Christ has grown me. It has made me love me. It has made me love pieces of me. Learning and loving the author of me has helped me to love me. I believe a lot of people walk around as if they've authored themselves. They made them and they made a lot of mistakes. And it's like, you didn't make you. But once you get connected to the person who made you or the entity who made you, it will help you love you because you can ask him all the questions about yourself. You asking yourself about you, and you don't know nothing about you. You're not gonna figure out.
Yeah.
If if
Hmm.
if um, if you're trying to figure out how to change the time on whatever device, it makes sense to look at the instruction rather than pushing buttons all over the place. You got to look at the instruction manual, and I think that is my first take. It's my first take.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, but I would say loving, learning to love the imperfections and realize
Yeah.
that maybe it's not imperfections, it's just you being the original you. Because
Yeah.
there is
That's a
no other
big
you.
part.
Yeah, there's no
Hmm.
other you in this earth. There will never be another you.
Right.
So rather than them being imperfections, look at them as being just you. I say this, and I've said to this people all the time. I'm in my early 40s. I know, something.
Wow.
Um,
Oh.
so, you know, I look back and realized I wasted all of my skinny years complaining about gaining weight.
Mm,
you know, I
yeah.
wasted a lot of my 20s, or early 30s, wishing I could lose a little bit more weight. And now I'm older, wishing I was the size I was complaining about. And if I only appreciated it, I would realize just how great I was in the moment. And I really feel like a lot of us are complaining about something that our future selves wish they still had. You know,
I
I,
understand what you mean.
yeah, I often ask in my imagination, my 60-year-old self, what do you wish you still had, or what you wish you could still do? And I think my 60-year-old self is saying, man, I wish I was your age. I would have done this. We get to a certain age and we say, oh man, I'm too old to do this. But your future self wishes they were your age to make different decisions. So
Mm,
since you are this age, make the better decisions for your future self, not to live in regret.
that's a big thing on it. That's
Yeah.
a really good way. I say if I were to have one way to learn how to have I'm better on my own mental health, one way that's worked for me really well is just finding the positivity in it. Really, I mean, one thing that I
Mhm.
realized myself is that sometimes I was taking my mental health a little bit too seriously. Like I was
Okay.
overstressing in a way that just felt like I was treating it as if it was this giant boulder that I had to carry
Yeah.
around all the time.
Right.
Sometimes the way that I just kind of had to make it better for myself is that even if I ain't carrying a giant boulder on my back, maybe I had to just see my way through it or something like that. I had to find a way to work my way through it. Like for
Yeah.
example, one way I came in terms with like my height. for a good little while. My when it came to like my own mental health, I was very, I didn't love like how I was like shorter than a lot of people. So I
Mm,
just learned how to just make fun of my own height, have fun,
mm,
make a lot of it. So then when
yeah,
I learned how to make a lot of it, I learned how to embrace it. And when I learned
yeah,
how to embrace it, then I learned how to just love the fact that, oh, I mean, I like being short. I mean, I'm not
yeah.
gonna be the I'm not gonna be the shortest of the bunch. I'm not gonna be the tallest of the bunch. But it's
Hmm.
like, hey, I'm happy what I do. I can crack jokes about my height all day
Right,
long. People can
right,
crack jokes about my own height and I can laugh it off and I can actually add
right,
on to their jokes about myself too, you
right.
know? And it made me love that aspect of myself, or
Yeah.
just other aspects of myself, maybe just other attributes about my own personality, attributes
Mm,
about my own physically or mentally, just different aspects of myself that used to really end up that some of them still do now. I'm never gonna claim as if I'm perfect. I got everything
yeah,
figured out.
you're
But
human.
yeah.
Hmm.
But I'll definitely say there's a good few aspects where it's like they really impact my mental health at one point. But because
Hmm.
I learned how to find the positivity in it, because I learned how to find a way to just really turn it into maybe a joke in itself and just
Yeah,
really laugh at it,
yeah,
and those sometimes a good laugh is what helped me go through the day. If
yeah.
maybe a person would say that, whoa, I don't like maybe like for instance, like giving an example, let's say a person, a good example, if I try to holler at a girl, she said, oh, nah, you ain't eating all that. I was like, I can just laugh, I'll be like, dang, I ain't that bad. I gotta put on my good clothes today or something like that. I can laugh
Yeah.
it off.
Yep.
But then, it with me laughing it off, sure, I'll take that experience, but like, okay, is there something wrong with me? But then I'll really think, being like, no, 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 it's just you can laugh it off. Some people have their own different opinions. Sometimes it
Yeah.
doesn't line up with my own, and it is what it is from there. Because then
Right.
maybe a few days later, I find a girl where, okay, she's like, oh yeah, you are all this and that. You are
Right.
all everything like that. You know, or even a real life example too is like maybe I'll take it back maybe a few years ago I would have thought that certain aspects of me wasn't all that, but then take it back now, it wasn't even not even like this past Saturday I took my little brother and his friends to go skating one time. And it's like, as I went to go to the front counter to get some food for myself. And as I was leaving the counter, it was like three ladies behind there. I heard one of the ladies be like, that's a sexy man back there. And I was like, oh,
Hello. Hello.
hey,
I'm here. I'm
I feel
here.
myself. So it's like, take it back a
You
few
see
years
me?
ago. Exactly, like,
Yeah.
I just definitely feel like when I can learn how to, I feel like with anybody, at least I feel like with a lot of people, because I can't say that everyone can always do it. Not everyone can always look at the brighter side of things. So they got to come at it a
Right.
different way.
Right.
But with the good few people, I can definitely say if you can find the positivity in it, or if you can find how to just laugh at your own experiences, laugh at your own insecurities and your own mental health, then you can learn how to really love it,
Right.
really develop on it, and then you can turn what you thought as a flaw into one of your biggest strengths. You can
One of
turn
the biggest
that
strengths.
exactly one of the things that you really used to stress about mentally, you can turn it into something that it's like take it down a year or two later, you look at it like, oh, I love this aspect of myself. I'm glad I never changed this about myself.
Right. Right.
That's definitely
Right.
what I feel like plays into all that type of stuff heavily, very, very heavily when it comes to mental
And,
health.
and, and I can co-sign that you really do think like that because all the staff were laughing. You were the most popular person in Texas when we went.
Yeah,
And we were like, and I mean, that wasn't even, we're not even talking about our bus, like the kids we brought. No, we talking about like across the board,
yeah.
everywhere. Hey, Cam. I'm like,
Hmm.
who is that? Who is that? Oh,
You
yeah.
just
Talking, da,
hmm
da, da, da. Next thing I know, hey, Cam, you okay? I'm like, this is day two. We only been here for 2 days. How does that person know?
exactly.
But no, I love that. I love that about you, man, because you definitely are. You're living your code. You really are like that. I've seen, man.
Hmm.
You went through any crowd, walk up, hey, how you doing?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
that's just you, and
Hmm.
I love the positivity in your life. You don't get thrown off by something uh starting off tensions. You seem to have the ability
Hmm.
to be like, okay, well, come on now, you're not that mad. Let's talk.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah,
was it.
it's
Oh, yeah,
yeah, I definitely say that's something that I just like. A part of it was obviously I was really born with it. Just like I've always been just a head person, just always growing up. But it's just obviously again, from down to mental health, it's something I just had to realize that sometimes positivity is the best way that can just really blot out that negativity. Like
yeah,
sometimes if you really just can't, if mentally you just can't come to terms with some of that stuff sometimes, or like you're not all the way there mentally,
yeah,
laugh at it. Have
Yeah.
some fun with it. Find a
Yeah.
positivity in it. You just find some, sometimes you could be in a situation where you could be mentally in a situation where it's like maybe physically you're not where you want to be. So you look at yourself in the mirror, you throw up or whatever like that. You just don't
Right.
like those things about yourself. So then maybe in those moments you look at yourself in the mirror and you just think, dang, at least I'm not as bad as that person. They got
Yeah.
it worse than me.
Hmm.
You can say I mean, or like maybe you could be doing a sport and you could be like, man, I can't do this and that. I can't do these and those things like all the other guys or all the other girls. I can't hit a flip. I can't hit this route or whatever. But then, and it's like maybe it's impacting you mentally. But
Hmm.
then turn around, maybe sometimes, so as morbid as it can be, sometimes you can just look at it as, oh, at least I can use my legs, At least I'm not like in a wheelchair or something like that. You think of it from different perspectives and find your own positivity and stuff. That's just like I feel like it's a very big key to having a good mental health is just be able to find
Yeah.
the single as small as it may be, the single light every darkness that there is.
Silver
Because there's
lining.
always one.
Yeah. Silver
Yeah.
lining somewhere.
Mhm. Yeah, for in my eyes, for there to be darkness, there has to be some sort of light.
Has to
It
be.
can never be one or the other.
Hmm.
If it's 99.9% darkness, there's that little 0.0% one bit of light,
I like it. I like it, man.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
But yeah, as a whole, though, I think that's a pretty good place to leave off with everything, though. I did feel like this is like a really good start off for the month in terms of like really opening to all the other stuff we're going to go in the future with all the different mental health. Like for those of you watching this video and everything, just know later on in the month we are going to go into like different levels of mental health in terms of like self love, in terms of loving others properly, in terms of just different aspects of mental health. We're going to go much, much, much deeper into it, even on terms of like self harm, stuff like that. We're going to go into those stuff real deep. We're going to really get into that stuff because mental health is probably one of the biggest things that people be struggling with nowadays. It's
Yep.
like one of the biggest, if not above physical, above everything else,
Right.
above any racial intentions, anything like that.
Hmm.
Mental health is where it all starts at. Because if you can't live yourself mentally, if you can't work yourself out mentally, you can't expect to solve all these other physical problems because it all starts from the mind. It all starts from there. I
Hmm.
definitely like, obviously, like you can give you a little adjustment for who you are again, where we can leave off from.
uh, did I just say my name or something like that?
Yeah, you can just say
Well,
your name. Yeah, yeah, just who you are.
yeah. So Pastor dezdemps. Uh, that's about it.
Yeah.
I'm his youth and young adult pastor from the past,
Mhm.
and I'm very proud of what you are doing. I'm very proud of you, man. You're doing your
Thank
thing.
you.
So
Thank you. Thank you.
that's
And
it.
as y'all know, I'm your host. I'm your host, Cam, and everything. And just always remember whether you're black or white, whether you're old or young, whether you're weird or weirder, just know my Zoom is a place for you. It's a place where you can come to. It's your family away from home or your family at home, your stress free zone, and some place where you can really just detox at whenever you need to. So, either way, yeah, that's the end of the video.
Peace out, people.